I gotta get me a bag, steady type of cash on my bro and that same shit. No, I don't fuck with no lame bitch. Can't even fuck on the same shit. I heard your shit in the swag. That shit is so sad, put in work at that basement. I charge you double that payment.
Hello everybody, it is your boy Emrys here with the first video on the revamped channel. So if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, just go check out the video. I'll leave like a card for it up there, on the top, whichever direction it is. I'll leave a video up there. Y'all can go watch that, and that'll explain exactly what I'm talking about. But alright, as y'all can see, this is going to be what if Deku was the son of All For One. If y'all like the thumbnail, tell me. I made that myself, and I'm usually making all my thumbnails myself unless some of y'all want to help out with making some of the thumbnails for me. I'll leave my Discord link in this description below if y'all want to come join. But yeah, if y'all do enjoy this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and just tell me exactly what y'all think about the new content that I'm going to be posting. This video is going to be pretty decently long because I actually want to show y'all that I'm actually coming back into this and actually getting back into the process of recording all of these things. So if y'all do enjoy my content, leave a like, subscribe, as I've already said. Tell me what y'all think. If y'all have any what if ideas that y'all would like me to do, put them down in the description, put them down in the comment section below. If I like them, I'll use them. But yeah, with all of that said and done, please enjoy the video, and let's get into it. Alright, let's get into the video. As y'all can see, this is what if Deku was the son of All For One, so let's just get into it and hop in automatically. So, how we're going to make this what if work for the most part is, we're just going to change who Deku's father is, and that's mainly all that we have to do. So yeah, we're going to change also a lot of the story on how everything interacts with later on, but yeah, so in this time, Inko, while she was a little younger, would have just been technically in debt severely. And she got into a group and messed with some shady people to get out of it and at least try to live a better life. She might have not had a strong quirk, but she really just wanted to get out of this debt as soon as possible. And she ended up going to a villain for help. And this villain would have been All For One, but she wouldn't have known that at that moment in time. All For One agreed to help Inko if Inko just agreed to work for him for as long as she was indebted. Because All For One obviously would have money. Due to the fact that he has been alive for so long, I'm guessing he would have had to accumulate some wealth to be the kingpin of the almost all of the villain world. So yeah, she came to him and just not knowing what kind of villain he actually was, but eventually Inko would get accustomed to just paying him whenever she could and at least doing odd work for her. So Inko technically would be classified as a technical villain, but she doesn't have much things to do with any of the hero world anyway. So she All For One literally just uses her in whatever ways. If she sees something and hears something, she'll say it's All For One, so he knows what's going on. Have a technical insight into the community and bring fear into people. Also bring people that maybe are born quirkless to Inko, just so to bring them to All For One so he could give them quirks and have more people to serve under him. But yeah, after about like 2 years of Inko doing this, eventually All For One actually would, for some reason, just grow close to Inko, and they would actually start technically falling in love. This would have been when Inko was only like 18, so for when they first met. So Inko's around 20 now, and they would actually start dating, falling in love, and for the most part, All For One, this is still way before All For One actually would ever get into the accident, so he still looks normal. And Inko knows that he's not going to change being a villain, so she's completely fine with that. She's already done villainous things in her own life, so she's completely okay with All For One being a villain. But yeah, so eventually they would consummate and Deku would end up being born. Inko would have been surprised that she actually fell in love with All For One, even though they got married, they fell in love, all of that. She still would have been surprised that she really fell in love with this man. Someone that can bring fear into the hearts of anyone. But yeah, so Deku would be born. Around 2 years later, well, closer to around like 4 years later, when Deku's actually supposed to be getting his quirk, figuring out he would actually figure out that he is born quirkless and offer one saying, "This kid is my son. I can't allow him being quirkless. If I could say something about it, and since he's my son, I can't ask him to do anything for me, since he still has some values, some morals." And he actually does love Mizuku. He loves Deku with all of his heart. Family still is important to him in some aspect, so he's not really trying to just be over here, be acting like a complete douche, and he takes care of his family. But yeah, so he would try, and he would spend some time deciding on what quirk Deku would receive from him. And after a good long while, he eventually comes up with an idea. Something that he feels could easily be used to the best circumstances, because he knows eventually he would like to maybe pass on his own quirk to Deku, but he wants Deku to be strong enough to take care of it, strong enough to handle it. And he gave Deku technically a villainous quirk, because he expects Deku to become a villain in the first place, so he doesn't care what quirk he gives him for the most part, as long as it's not something that can be used for hero work or identifies as a hero quirk. Because why would he want that? Like, what reason in any world would he want his son to be a hero? But yeah, so I will actually let y'all decide exactly what the quirk is. I'm gonna go as far into the story as I can without having an exact quirk. But yeah, in the next part, whatever quirk that I like the best that y'all choose, I'll use. So, Deku would have this quirk, whatever it is, and eventually get it. And since he's not going to school, the same school as Bakugo, since he doesn't really need to. His father teaches him everything that he needs to know, since All For One is extremely smart. And so he's technically homeschooled for the most part. Inko would like Deku to be actually going to school with other kids, so he has some kind of friends, but All For One doesn't see the reason. But since he does love Inko, he would eventually succumb and eventually just choose to allow this to be happening. So yeah, he would let Deku go to school, and since he doesn't really want Deku going to school with all these other hero kids, he would eventually go to the same school as Bakugo, but it would be way later. Inko and Mitsuki would have been friends at a point, but they hadn't talked in a long while. So when Mitsuki heard that Inko's son had been going to Bakugo school from around the 3rd grade and on, she felt that she might want to come in contact with Inko again, and she did. So they would actually get into contact, but around this time would be the same time All For One would get in his accident with All Might. The fight would happen, and All For One actually has something to fight for. All Might doesn't know this, obviously. No one even knows that All For One has had a kid. But yeah, he would have that incident, and he would still kind of get deformed and go in mind, because she still loves him no matter what. But it would kind of sadden her to see the man that she loves so much in this much pain. But yeah, so Inko technically also would eventually notice that All For One has taken a liking to another child. A child named Shigaraki, someone that's a little older than Deku, but actually seem to have a lot of problems. So Inko would actually start taking care of Shigaraki, and Deku and Shigaraki would become amazingly close friends, since Deku's quirk, specifically just the extra one that All For One gave him, just to deal with any other quirks, is a technical nullifier. But it's not like a nullifier that nullifies other people's quirks, or like other people's quirks around him. It just literally, technically, no matter what quirk, it's technically, that's what I mean. It nullifies anyone's quirk around him, so he could touch anyone that's quirk would not allow him to do so. Or he can technically just nullify people's quirk that's trying to touch him or come into contact with him. So him and Shigaraki could actually have contact without him starting to decay. And Shigaraki is actually surprised about this. He actually has someone, he might be a little younger, yes, but he actually has someone that he could call a friend that he could actually touch without having them completely die automatically. So he would actually admire Deku as a close friend and ally, someone that he can trust wholeheartedly, as someone that he is just so close with. Deku and Bakugo wouldn't be really friends because Deku just finds Bakugo's attitude to be annoying. Deku's chill, calmly collected. He can get angry at times, obviously, but he quite literally is just like someone that will calculate everything before he needs to do anything. That's just how smart he is naturally. He will make sure that he doesn't do anything without knowing the repercussions that could possibly happen later on. He's just that vigilant. And he makes sure to know everything. Years would pass along and we would get to the point around the last day of middle school. Deku would be trying to figure out what he's going to do afterwards. He suggests to All For One that he might want to do something since no one still knows All For One has a child. There have been rumors going around that All For One's still alive, and All Might knows this, but he doesn't really know exactly what's going on with All For One since he's been kind of quiet for a long while. He's not in Tartarus because this time All For One managed to get out and get away since he knew no matter what he just didn't want to leave his family. He didn't want to just abandon them and go to prison for years. So yeah, he would really just be taking care of Deku, and Deku would suggest the idea of maybe him applying to UA. Not to become a hero, but for him to figure out what the heroes are up to actually be a technical spy for UA. Since Deku knows that All For One, his father already has someone else that's planning to go to UA that he could use as a technical pawn, but he wants to make sure that this guy doesn't mess up and make sure that they can at least both get the job. So if one of them gets caught, the other one doesn't. And since no one, not a person in the world knows who All For One's son is, they can't really identify Deku with him since All For One uses a fake name, or used a fake name when actually using his papers to fill out who Deku's father was. So All For One technically used the name Hisashi. And that's the technical name that everyone knows him by. Anytime that they saw him, but for now, everyone just thinks that Hisashi went to go work overseas, but All For One's still around. But yeah, so the All For One would agree to this, saying what can possibly go wrong. If anything does go wrong, you have a strong enough quirk that can deal with it, or I could just bail you out if you need it. But anyways, you and Shigaraki could operate anything that y'all need to. Well, I'm not going to need to interfere too much unless y'all really need me to. But I have faith in the two kids that I've been technically mentoring and raising for so long. So we would get to that last day. We would get to the moment where, where Bakugo was supposed to be throwing Deku's notebook, but he doesn't bother messing with Deku since he knows he has a strong quirk. They don't get in the same crowd. They can get along at times, but Deku just finds Bakugo to be annoying most of the time. Deku would leave the school, take the same way home that he did, and still run into the sludge villain. He would not be dealing with this villain, and he would literally just say, "Move along, you can leave." The sludge villain would be like, "Who do you think you are?" As Deku would literally just walk closer into the sludge villain and literally punch him. Using his nullifier quirk, he would this punch would actually hurt, do some damage. Yes, you might be made out of sludge, but this quirk technically nullifies that sludge has become rock hard, and you will be able to feel whatever pain I inflict onto you. And that's what Deku likes to use his quirk for most on. If you have a quirk that technically allows you body not to really feel pain, that doesn't really work on him. No matter what, those punches will connect and his abilities will connect, as eventually All Might will get there. See that this kid has already dealt with this this villain already. Deku would see All Might and he would say, Oh, it's All Might. Yeah, I'll make it going. As All Might would be like, you don't want an autograph, young child? As Deku would be like, really? No, I don't really like you much in the first place, All Might. I don't see any reason that I would need to get an autograph from someone that I don't admire or don't like. As All Might would just be like, no, that's a little weird. I thought I should be everyone's number one hero. Don't see why he wouldn't like me. But so All Might would just ask, what have I done to you? And Deku would just say, nothing you need to concern yourself about. Nothing of any importance to you anyways. Nothing you should bother yourself knowing. And he would just, but Deku would say, but I will be applying to UA. So I guess I will be seeing you around, All Might. Heard that you were going to be a teacher for UA next year. As All Might will be like, how did you hear that? As Deku would just be like, yeah, I know people. Deku would have just met All Might during the technical sludge villain incident. And he would literally not actually care about meeting All Might in any sense of the meaning. So All Might would be a little shocked by this, confused, and trying to just understand why this teenager, someone that should adore him, doesn't at all. And eventually Deku would just say, you know what, All Might, I'm gonna go. As All Might says, okay, young sir, due to the fact of what I just saw you do, I think I'm just wondering, are you applying to UA? And Deku would be like, yeah. I thought about it for a while, and I eventually decided I might as well. Why? As All Might would just say, your quirk is very interesting, and I was just wondering, because I'm going to be a teacher at UA during this year, and I have a few things that I might want to talk to you about later on. But since you do need to go, you should get going. And Deku would. Eventually, he would run into Bakugo during the sludge villain, since All Might would still idiotically drop the sludge villain. And Deku would just use one of his quirks, because I'm just going to say he does have more than one. I'm going to give him 3 total. One that I really did like, which would be Puppet Master, which is technically just him being able to use other people technically like puppets into technically doing exactly his bidding. Second, another version of Decay, which technically works where he could choose what he decays and what he doesn't. All for one thought this might be a good quirk for Deku to have, so him and Shigaraki could actually have something more in common. And he does view Shigaraki as a technical son, since I'm just going to lower Shigaraki's age to around the same age as Deku. Just because I prefer to, so they're technically closer to actually more like brothers. And yeah, so if y'all get mad at that, oh well, I'm still going to have Shigaraki run almost the entire League of Villains. I'm just going to say he's a little younger. But yeah, so Deku would eventually make it home after dealing with Bakugo. He literally just dealt with his sludge villain by literally nullifying his quirk again, which would be his technical 3rd quirk, and punching him using some decay, so the sludge villain would literally try moving away, and eventually he would use technically the 4th-ish quirk that he does have, which is technically just a strength enhancer along with a slash of regen, so he can literally just actually regenerate any time that he uses his full strength, because his strength is around the strength of 15-20 men. It's around the same strength that he has with One for All 5%. But yeah, so Bakugo would be thankful, and he understands how strong Deku is. He never understood what Deku's quirk is, and Deku doesn't bother explaining it because he knows it's going to be too complicated for him to bother, so he just leaves it alone. But yeah, so he would get home, see Shigaraki, they would hang out, just play around like kids, and he would see his father, and he would just say, hello, father, you won't guess who I met today? As All for One would be like, who, my son? And Deku would just be like, your old friend, All Might. As he would just be like, ooh, this actually might get interesting. Now go on. As he would just be like, well, a technical low-rank villain just tried to attack me, not knowing who I was, which is quite odd because every villain should at least recognize my face. No hero should. No one should actually know who I am, but most villains should at least recognize my face. And they all know not to say anything, because if they do, they will die automatically due to the technical quirk that you put on all of the people that work for you, where if they say anything about who I am, no matter how minuscule, they will die, because my existence is kept a secret for a good reason. But All Might was really intrigued about my quirk. He didn't understand it, and I didn't bother explaining it to him, but he really did sound like he might like me as a technical candidate, which would be interesting, wouldn't it? Your two sons inheriting the quirks that our uncle started long ago. Since he, for one, does you Shigaraki as a technical son, and they technically did adopt him, ish. But yeah, so for one would be like, yes, that would be interesting, my son. It would be very interesting indeed. And yeah, so Deku would start training for UA. He knows he doesn't have to, but he just wants to just build a little more muscle. Literally just do a lot of training with the quirks, since he's only had them for almost his entire life, but he still wants to learn how to use them more intertwined with each other. He can use like his strength and regen, because even though those might be technically different quirks, but he's learned to completely just always use them together. But what he's trying to learn to do is use all of them along with his decay. He usually has to just switch one on and off, but he can do that mentally, automatically, but he's just trying to use them at the same time. And he's getting pretty good at that, as for mostly the 10 months would go by, he would clean Dekuma Beach just because he got bored, and him and Shigaraki would just need somewhere to train to. And him and Shigaraki would literally just be playing around, doing whatever teenagers would do. They would go to the mall. Since anytime that Shigaraki's around Deku, his quirk doesn't really work, since he just nullifies the area that they're around. So as long as Shigaraki's very close to Deku, or is just wearing a specific necklace that Deku made that technically imbues that Shigaraki with technically Deku's quirk, and I know I'm saying technically a lot, I don't care. It's just that I don't use scripts I don't plan to, and if y'all get mad about that, oh well. Don't watch the video. I'm not going to change how I record, because writing scripts would take too much time that I don't have, and I got schoolwork to do. But yeah, they would train, they would go have fun, technically be teenagers, just do whatever they felt like for that 10 months. And eventually, the 10 months would finish. Deku hadn't seen All Might this entire time. He had heard about what All Might had been doing, and he knows that All Might has a time limit and everything. He knows that if he wanted to, he could just ask All For One to just give him a quirk to heal All Might, but there's literally no point in him doing that, since he's already planning to take over as the holder of One For All if he can manage it. So because he already knows that if he manages to take One For All for himself, his father can't even take it, and his father knows that. All For One knows that Deku's technical original quirk is the technical ability to keep quirks, not take them. But if he is imbued a quirk, he has the automatic ability that no matter what anyone tries to do, there is no way for his quirk to be gone. You could try using a quirk erasing bullet, his quirk stays. It's just a technical thing that literally never leaves no matter what. But yeah, so we would get to the point where Deku would start walking to UA. He would say goodbye to Shigaraki and say, "Well, brother, this is where everything starts. Start forming the League of Villains, and I'll inform you about what we need to do later on." Since Deku technically is the leader of the actual League of Villains, but no one else knows that. Shigaraki is the technical face and the actual lead, and since he has Deku's bracelet on at all times, he has control over his actual abilities. He can set it to where he can't use his abilities at all, or has perfect control of them, so him and Deku technically have almost the exact same quirk when he actually is wearing the bracelet, where he can control his decay abilities perfectly without actually harming anyone, and naturally just choose when he starts to take A. And Shigaraki thanks Deku a lot for this. He knows that Deku's smart and he understands that immensely, so he does love Deku for this. They respect each other, they value each other, but yeah. Deku would head to UA. He would go through the doors, he wouldn't trip, so he wouldn't meet Uraraka. He would start sitting down, getting ready. He would sit next to Bakugo because they're the only ones from the same school that ended up going there to UA. And Bakugo and him would get to talking. They're friends enough at this point. They spent the 10 months around each other since Bakugo wanted to train with Deku just because their parents are good friends and Bakugo knows that Deku's strong, and Bakugo just really was grateful for Deku for saving his life. All Might saw Deku save Bakugo and he was really just surprised on how strong this kid is, and actually the fact that he chose to save someone. Deku really just did it because he knew All Might was there and he wanted it to look like a hero, so he's just trying to play All Might for the moment. But yeah, so they would start taking the written portion of the test. Deku would ace it perfectly. He would get a perfect score, and that's mainly because how smart he is. Without an intelligence score, without anything, it's just his normal strength, normal intelligence. Because All For One has taught him as much as he could. Deku understands how the world works, understands where the quirk started. Since All For One was part of the first generation of quirks, Deku knows everything. He's been taught almost everything that they can be to know about each user of All For One and what their quirks were, how to use them. So if he manages to get All For One, which is his goal, he knows how to use it. He knows how to actually imbue and get all of the quirks that have been used, and understands how to use each and every quirk. And that's what his goal is. But yeah, he would finish the written portion first automatically. He honestly had the option of just taking the actual technical, I don't even know what it's called, the one Todoroki took, the exam Todoroki took, where they actually requested them to be put into UA. I can't remember what it's called, and that's my bad because I'm just an idiot. But yeah, so he chose not to, but because he wanted to just take it like everyone else. He didn't feel like having to be called out like a special person, and he just really felt like, yeah, that's kind of too much to bother with. So yeah, Deku would go sit down, talk to President Mike. He knows who President Mike is, and he respects him. He respects some heroes. He doesn't like all of them, but he talks to him. They get along. President Mike's extremely smart, so they can talk about almost anything, and they really just chill. Everyone starts coming in. Deku takes a nap since President Mike explained everything to Deku, and that's exactly what would happen. Deku would just be chilling. Ito would get up, start talking mess about how this kid is just sleeping and not paying attention to anything, and President Mike would just say, leave the kid alone. I already explained everything to him, and he already knows what's going to happen, so leave him alone, let him sleep. The fact that he was the first one done with a written portion, I already know he's extremely smart, and the fact that I could recognize him by his name, Izuku Midoriya, because that is going to still be his name, because I don't feel like changing it. So yeah, this boy was recruited for UA, but he chose to take it the normal entrance exam, not with anyone else, and he just wanted to show everyone that he at least isn't completely a spoiled prick, even though he has a good amount of money. But yeah, Ito would just be like, but it's still disrespectful, And Bakugo would just be like, shut up, sit down, and leave him alone. You couldn't beat him if you wanted to, and he's too strong for any of us to beat him anyway, so he will be taking the #1 spot, because Bakugo even understands in the 10 months that he's been training with Deku, no one's touching him. He's that strong. His decay quirk can easily take out anything that he needs it to. His strength quirk can do the same. And his intelligence just usually automatically outwits anything else in the first place. So he usually never has to worry about anything. But yeah, so they would get to the actual physical part of the exam. And Deku and Bakugo would be in the same field. Just because why not? But Deku would literally just be in the back. Literally just saying, yeah, I'm gonna give them some time. I'm only here because I felt like it. there's not really a reason for me to be here besides the mission that I've already set out to do. So I'll let other people get in here first. And All Might would be watching this, and he would see that Deku's just choosing to be the back. He's wondering why, but he's waiting to see what's happening. The doors would open and everyone would start rushing in. Deku would just be walking, and he would stay walking almost the entire time. He would literally not run once, and he would literally, the only time he would get a robot is when he saw someone being injured, since he's only focused on hero points, since he understands that what's the point of just getting villain points when you're applying to a hero school? You should gotta be saving other people, so that's all he focuses on. If you see someone getting injured, hero points, hero points, hero points, hero points. And he would obviously take some robots for himself, take 3-pointers for himself, and eventually they would bring out the 0-pointer. Or Rocket would still get stuck, and Deku would see this, and she would be like, let's actually use some actual decay, since he's literally just been punching them this entire time. And he would walk up to the 0-pointer, literally not even jump, walk, touch his foot, and the entire thing would start to decay from bottom to up. Literally no hesitation, and everyone would see this, and All Might would be like, I didn't know his quirk was that strong. That is impressive. Every teacher would be like, yeah, this kid is going into 1A. The fact that he's choosing to use such a quirk that could be so much danger, and he's using it with such precision, and actually not being a villain like this, and little do they know, but they really are surprised about this, and they would automatically choose to put him in 1A, as Deku would leave afterwards and head home, see his father, see his brother, and just literally chill for the rest of the day, since he already knows he got in. He's not too worried about that. They literally told him to have a meeting with him before he left, and said, yeah, you're in 1A, come next week so we can actually talk to you alone again, since we're guessing you have to go home now. And he would have gone home. He would have said hello to his parents, said hello to his brother, and just literally chilled out with him for the remainder of the week, since he has nothing else to do. He's not bothering leading the League of Villains right now, and he's letting Shigaraki deal with all of that, because he trusts him to do what he needs to do. But yeah, he would go to UA that week before school started and just go meet up with his teachers. The teachers that would be there would be Aizawa, because he knew that he wanted to at least meet this kid before actually class started. All Might, Nezu, and most of the entire student body staff, because they heard that this kid was also extremely smart, because his test scores were off the roofs. But yeah, so Nezu would say hi, introduce Deku to all of these teachers, and Deku would just be asked, what's the exact reason that y'all wanted me to come before school even started? And Nezu would be like, one, we wanted to congratulate you on getting in first place on almost literally everything during your entrance exam. And second of all, we really just wanted to ask you exactly what your quirk is, because we saw a few different types of abilities that we could not really explain. All Might has his actual guesses, but we don't really know exactly what's going on with your quirk. And Deku's just like, let's just say my quirk's a little complicated. It's one quirk. Well, he wouldn't say it's one quirk, but he would just say it has a few different abilities attached to it for some reason. I never understood why, but it just kind of works like that. I don't even know how to explain my quirk. Most people just classify my quirk as Omega, because it has a beginning, but he can't really tell where it ends. So they really just classified it as that, and he really liked the name, so he just left it as that. As everyone would just say, okay, that's fair. As Aizawa would introduce himself, say that he really liked this kid's style. And really, he only focused on getting hero points. He didn't focus on getting villain points. He only got a few. And Deku would be like, yeah, I understood that. What's the point of coming to a hero school if you're not going to save anyone? So what's the point of just only solely attacking the villains? Actually attack the heroes. And Deku's like, and sometimes villains aren't even that bad. As I was like, don't understand your ideology, but you could possibly be right. And as All Might would eventually be like, "Hello, Midoriya, was it? We've met. I could remember meeting you. What was it, 10 months ago now?" And Deku would be like, "Yeah, I think so." Where you idiotically dropped the sludge villain after I literally helped you take it down. And All Might would be like, let's not discuss the details. Can we go talk somewhere in private?" And Deku's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And they would go. Nezu would literally look at All Might and he would say, "This kid might actually be a good fit," just without saying a word. And All Might would literally ask Deku, and like just start telling Deku about One for All, because he wants Deku to be his next candidate, and he doesn't know if Deku's body's ready, but they would talk, and Deku's body is ready, but he knows that One for All can only be gifted without actually any malice intent. So Deku is really just waiting to see if All Might does it now or waits later on. But All Might would just explain like what One for All is, and not explain anything about All for One. But Deku would be like, "So you have the ability to pass on your quirk, and you think I would be a good fit?" And he would just say, yes, I do. From what I've seen of your quirk, and your mastery of it is amazing. I think with the strength that your quirk and this could actually inhibit would be astronomically amazing on a globally wide scale. And Deku would be like, yes, it probably would be, but I don't think I should take it right now. And All Might would be like, looking at your body, I'm guessing it's easily strong enough to take it. Why not? And Deku would be like, one, I'm still so young. Yes, I might be strong enough to take it, but you might actually need it longer than I do. I might be strong enough, but I'm still young, and I want to at least get through most of this without having to deal with a new quirk to deal with. Maybe ask me later on in the year, but for now, we'll leave it. And anyways, I think you might want to at least get to trust me a little more before you start asking me. I'll keep your secret about One for All, but kind of doesn't really make sense about telling a student automatically about the quirk, something like this. And All Might's like, yeah, you might be right, but at least I know you said yes. We'll just wait until you're ready. And Deku would be like, okay, that's completely fine. And yeah, so he would really just be chilling for the rest of that week, and once he would get to school, he would be probably closer to one of the later people in there. He would sit down next to Bakugo, literally just start talking it up. Him and Bakugo at least getting close, and Bakugo would just be asking, "Yo, Mizuku, where's your brother?" And Deku would just be like, yeah, he chose not to apply to UA instead. He thought about it, but then he was just like, yeah, too much of a drag. Because Shigaraki's not like the same child as she's literally, give him more of a Shikamaru vibes. He's extremely smart, he's extremely intelligent, but he's literally just gets lazy half the time, so he's just like, yeah, we're not bothering. And Bakugo's like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. If he probably should have been in UA anyways, but he's fine. As he's actually gonna look a little different when he's actually in his villain costume, because I need people not to recognize him automatically, because it kind of would give everything away. But yeah, so Uraka would eventually walk in, see Deku, and she would walk up straight to him, and she would be like, "Thank you so much for saving my life." And Deku's like, "Oh yeah, you're the idiot that somehow managed to get stuck under a rock when the 0-pointer came out." And she would be like, "Yeah, sorry about that. That was my bad." And Deku would just be like, "What's your quirk anyways?" And she would be like, "Zero gravity." And he would be like, "So you couldn't really just have lifted the rock and started like crawling your way away?" And she would be like, "Oh yeah." But yeah, he would just be like, "Yeah, you're good anyways. Just sit down and leave me alone." And Uraka would do that. This Bakugo would just be like, yo, chill, bro. She was just trying to be nice. You don't have to do it like that. And he'd be like, you already know that I'm too busy to be dating anyone anyways, and it's kind of easier to let them off now than try having them catch feelings later. And he's like, yeah, you're not wrong, but either way, come on, just be a little nicer. And he's just like, okay. As I would pop his head over, and she would just see Izuku, and he'll be like, yo, what is up? What is up, Midoriya? Nice to see you again. As Deku would just be like, hello, Teach. Or do you prefer Aizawa? And he would just say, yeah, just call me Aizawa. And he would be like, yo, alright, that works. And that's exactly what he would do. And Aizawa would just be like, alright, y'all can go to the locker room and change into your sports clothes. And Deku would be like, alright. He would stand up, walk away, Bakugo would follow. And everyone else in the room would just be like, what about the assembly? What about the assembly? And he would just be like, why don't you just act like these two kids? They heard what I said, and they did it automatically. And everyone else would eventually start walking in. Once the boys would start walking in, they would see Deku. They would look at his body. They would just see how chiseled it is. How strong it looks. How much like just muscle that he has on him. And everyone would just be like, wow, how much do you work out? And he would just be like, yeah, I work out almost every day. I like to keep my body fit. I might have a quirk, but what's the point of having a quirk if your body's not strong enough to deal with it? Or not even strong enough to use it with that, because there are people that nullify quirks in existence anyways. And everyone was just like, yeah, you're not wrong, that's fair. So Deku would walk out, and as I would just ask him to throw this without using a quirk. And since no one really knows that he has a strength quirk anyways, everyone just assumes that he's extremely strong. He would just use his strength quirk, and not all of it, so he doesn't look too suspicious. And he would throw it about like 1,000 meters, still extremely amount, but like he's just saying, yeah, that wasn't me using my quirk. And Aizawa would try to nullify his quirk. It wouldn't work, and Deku would look at Aizawa and just say, try that again, and you will get smacked. Don't ever try to nullify my quirk again. As Aizawa would be like, why didn't it work? And Deku just like, let's just say my quirk has a few extra components inside of it that kind of makes it a little special, to say the least. And that's always just like, okay, thoughts heard. I won't try to nullify your quirk again. And Deku would just be like, thank you, appreciate it. And Aizawa would just be like, now throw it with your full quirk. And Deku would just be like, alright, that works. He would put his full strength, a little decay into it, and the ball would zoom around 10,000. It would start speeding 10,000 meters, and then it would start decaying, and eventually it just said ear, and nothing's left of it, period. And yeah, so as I was just like, I don't even know what to count that. We'll literally just call it air, because that's literally what the last thing it was on. It was still going almost top speed when it was hitting 10,000 meters. And if you threw it up, it probably would have gone up into the atmosphere and passed that into space. So we could call it infinity, but since it stopped at air and it completely disintegrated, we'll figure that out later. As everyone else would go, Deku would dominate in every event, no matter what it is. Speed, he's fastest. Strength, he's fastest. And jumping, he can jump extremely high and just stay in the air for a long period of time. He might not be able to fly, but he can still do a lot of things and literally just be chilling the entire time through it. As Mineta would be the last one, in last place, obviously. And he would end up getting kicked out, and Deku would be like, that's good. His quirk might have been useful, yes, but it's only good as a rescue hero. So I would suggest don't kick him out. Yes, he might have an almost useless quirk in almost any sense, but he could make a good rescue hero. And that's what Aizawa would actually hear, because All Might's still listening in. just watching over Deku to see exactly what kind of person he is, to make sure that he's making the right decision. And he would just be like, yeah, okay, he's actually making sure that this kid doesn't get expelled, and he would just say, why don't you move him to class 1B and switch him up with someone else? Or maybe not even 1B. I've done my research and I heard that there was someone in the business program that applied to be in the hero program, but that got denied. I think his name was Shinzo. Why don't you move him here? And Aizawa would be like, that's a little unorthodox, but I'll hear out this request. Nezu said that you're extremely smart and you might actually know a little about the potential anyway, so I'll talk to Nezu about this. Since Aizawa has actually, even in the little short time that he's known Deku, actually started to respect him extremely much because his actual attitude and actual how he technically presents himself, because he presents himself like as he's a completely grown adult. Alright guys, that is going to be the end of the video. If y'all did enjoy it, again, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if y'all are new. If y'all have any video ideas that y'all would like me to use, put them down in the comments below. Join the Discord, which the link will be in the description. And I'll also leave a link to my other channel. I have a gaming channel too. I haven't posted anything on it on the date of this video coming out, but I plan to. And also put down in the comments any games that y'all would think that I should actually be getting into if y'all you've made it this far into the video. So yeah, just give me any kind of games that don't have too much right now, and I don't have the best setup just to get y'all that straightened away, but I do have enough that I could at least play some Valorant, some Rocket League, so I don't even know. Just give me some games that y'all would like me to play. But thank y'all for watching this video. If y'all enjoyed it, please tell me. Leave a like to show the support. Subscribe so this channel can grow. But yeah, without further ado, thank y'all for watching. Emrys out.